I'm going to review what we've talked about over the past couple of lessons, share a little bit of the slides that we already have from our science notebook, and then I'm going to demonstrate a few more opportunities of how to create sound waves, and then you should have plenty of time to work during the asynchronous time to do your creating sound waves assignment. I'm actually going to start by kind of going over those requirements. That way, as you listen to my demonstrations and the review, you can kind of make those connections of what needs to be in your video. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will take a look at the modules of in Canvas for my class. All right. So in the Canvas page, if you go to modules, please make sure that you're completing all the warm-ups throughout the week. I will be grading those tomorrow. You'll get 1 grade for the whole week worth of the module of the warm-up questions, sorry. But if you're ready to work on the creating sound waves assignment, you would need to look underneath yesterday's date, actually, because that's the first chance you had to work on it. But click on the link for creating sound waves. And as that loads into the screen, it has the directions, which I'm going to go over in a minute. But how to submit it is important to know. On the top right, there's a blue button, says Submit Assignment. And when you click on that, it gives you options down below of how to submit that. You could possibly record your video on a cell phone or an iPad or some other camera device and save it as a file, and then upload it as a file. But I think the easiest way to complete these videos is by using the next tab over, the Media tab. And once you click on Media, it'll give you the option to record or upload media. In the Record Media section, it should load your web camera up, and then you have the option of either recording, start recording with the webcam that includes both audio and video, or you can just use the microphone if you don't feel comfortable being on camera. So then once you finish recording that, you'll have the option of submitting your assignment at the end. But if we look at the modules for today, it says that I'm going to review how sounds are created and how sounds travel. Then going to demonstrate a couple of other ways of creating sounds, talk a little bit more about how they are traveling and how we can manipulate those sounds to change amplitudes and change frequencies. So if you need a resource, I would refer back to the notes from this week. On Monday, we got notes on how sounds are created and travel. And please, when you're making your, use this slide, write it down if you need to, and have it next to you, or have this up on your screen while you're recording, so that you can make sure that you're using the vocabulary terms from this unit, especially source, vibration, molecules, and sound energy transfers. So the general idea is that to create a sound, we need a source, some kind of an action to start this vibration. I'll demonstrate a couple of options for that in a minute. Once that object starts to vibrate, it's going to push the molecules that are around it away from it in all directions. And those molecules are surrounded by more molecules, and so they crash into those. And every time molecules collide, we can have a transfer of energy. In this case, a transfer in sound energy. And those collisions are going to continue from molecule to molecule to molecule to molecule, all the way from the source of our sound to a receiver of that sound. For humans, our receivers are our ears. Next week, we'll learn about parts of the ear and how kind of the process of hearing works. When you're doing your demonstrations in your assignment, you should refer back to 2 properties of waves and how they are affecting the sounds, the characteristics of the sound. So we went over this yesterday, and you should have the slide in your notes. The first part is about amplitude. the amplitude of the sound wave determines its loudness. So remember that amplitude is a measurement of the height of the wave, or the measurement of the distance from rest to crest in a wave diagram. So a tall wave is going to create a loud sound. A short wave would create a quiet sound. Pretty simple idea there, and pretty much with any instrument or any way we're demonstrating sound, it's going to be easy to make that clear distinction. If you apply a lot of force, you can get a loud sound. If you apply a small amount of force, you get a quiet sound. For frequency, frequency of the sound wave is going to determine its pitch. Pitch is like the notes in a song. It's often described as a range from high pitches to low pitches. So a wave with a low frequency, where there's a lot of distance between each crest of the wave, that's going to give us a low pitch. And if we have more waves in a period of time, we have higher frequency, that's going to give us a higher pitch for the sound wave. So keep those notes in mind and use those in your assignment. So you're going to create a video, and your video has to do 3 things. The first part of your video should be you demonstrating some sort of creation of a sound. If you have an instrument, you can certainly use an instrument, and I think that would be easy to show differences in amplitude and differences in frequency. Instruments are designed to do that. But if you don't have an instrument, we need to find objects around that you can create sound with. I'm not asking you to play a song. I'm not asking you to be an amazing musician. I'm just asking you to create some sound waves and show and demonstrate that sounds can have different amplitudes or loudness, and also different frequencies or pitch. Once you demonstrate the sounds, I really would like you to talk about the process. How was that sound created? What was the source of the sound wave? What was the thing that initially started to vibrate? How did that sound travel from the source to your ear? So referring back to those notes that I just went over would be the best way to do that. So I'm going to try to demonstrate a few things and give you some ideas that you might choose to use in your project. All right. So like I said, you could use an instrument, and I've got an instrument I can show. I played a couple of instruments yesterday. But if you don't have an instrument, we need to be creative in how to create some sound waves. So I've shown you how to use root beer bottles or drinking water glasses to create sounds and alter their amplitudes and frequencies. Sitting right here on my table, I've got my water bottle and my tea mug. And then we could grab a spoon and we could tap on them to alter the amplitudes and frequencies. If you tap lightly, we're going to have a small amplitude, a quiet sound, or if you tap harder, we have amplitude or a louder sound. To demonstrate differences in frequency, we would need to change something about it. So just tapping on one thing isn't going to do that. Maybe tapping on different spots of it could give us that change in pitch or different frequencies, or filling it up with different amounts of water is what I've done with the drinking glasses. Or you could use different objects. So I have a plastic water bottle compared to this metal tea mug, and that should be able to give us some different pitches, different frequencies. Not great music, but it would meet all the requirements, and then you would just need to describe what's going on there. When I hit the tea mug with the spoon, it causes the metal that makes up the mug to vibrate. It's going to actually move inwards and outwards. You can't really see it happening because it doesn't move very much, but it moves enough to push the molecules away from it in all directions. And those molecules of air that are in the classroom are going to crash into each molecule, transferring the sound energy from one place to another. Next thing I want to show you is a material that we would, if we were here in school, we would do a couple of labs with, because I think they are great for demonstrating different things with sound, and those are tuning forks. So tuning forks are different lengths. And one thing that I've talked about in creating different frequencies is that if the vibration has more room to travel in, like the taller tines here, it's going to create lower pitches. If it has less room to vibrate in, it's going to have a higher pitch. So these two tuning forks have some things printed on them. It won't show up on camera very well, but I'll try. So the long one here has 256 printed on it and the letter C. The short one has 512 printed on it and the letter C. In music, those letters are the notes, but they're really frequencies. So the numbers that are on those are telling the frequency of the sound wave that gives us those C notes. And music involves octaves. I mean, groups of pitches, and then they go from low to middle to high. So these are two different Cs, the low C and the high C, and that refers to the pitch of it. The frequency numbers are in a unit called hertz. So that 256, when I apply a force to it, like the source being my mallet hitting the tine, it's going to begin to vibrate these metal tines at 256 hertz. A hertz is one vibration per second. So a measurement of 256 hertz means that it's going to vibrate 256 times every 1 second. That's pretty fast vibrations, and fast vibrations or lots of vibrations in a period of time gives us high pitches. So the tuning forks often are going to have really high pitches. So that's a 256 hertz C note, as opposed to the 512 C note should have a higher pitch, more vibrations in a period of time, higher frequency gives us higher pitch. So I've done a few activities with tuning forks, but this morning when I got to work, I was just kind of sitting playing around with some different things. And one thing I decided to try was, well, I've got all the notes of different tuning forks. I've got a set of 1 octave of tuning forks. And yesterday I played some examples of songs with my child's xylophone. And I'd never tried it before, but it kind of works okay. So I'll try playing a song using the tuning forks. So I have the C, D, E, and F tuning forks that when they're hit with the mallet, they're going to vibrate at a frequency that gives us those pitches. I'm not going to play all of this song because it gets stuck in my head and it's pretty obnoxious, but see if you recognize it. Oh, it's really hard actually to hold all 4 of them at the same time. Let me try one more time. Everybody loves Baby Shark, right? It's not going to be stuck in your head the rest of the day like it is mine. So not really an instrument, but it can be played with different frequencies, give it different notes, so we can play songs with those, even if it doesn't sound great. I'm going to play one more, demonstrate one more way of creating sound waves and manipulating the amplitude and frequency of those sound waves. And for that, I'll use a guitar. So, like I said, pretty much every instrument's amplitude can be altered by how much force you apply to that instrument. So with a guitar, the thing you're doing is hitting the strings, either strumming or plucking the strings. And if you hit them hard, they're going to play louder. If you hit them soft, they're going to play quieter. So here's a low amplitude sound wave. Soft force, quiet sound. If you hit them a little bit harder, then it's going to be a louder sound from a bigger amplitude. The amplitude's easy. The force you put in results in a difference in loudness. For frequency, guitars are designed to alter frequency in lots of different ways. One of them is by the thickness of the strings. The top string of the guitar is the thickest string. It has the most room for the vibration to travel in, and the more room a vibration has to travel in, the lower the pitch. So the top string has the lowest pitch. The bottom string is the thinnest of the strings of the guitar. It has the least amount of space for the vibration to travel in. It's going to have the highest pitch. Oh, I hit the wrong string. But guitar players don't have very many songs that they just pluck the strings. They use this piece of it, the fretboard of it. And the purpose of the fretboard, a guitar player might call it cutting the string. You're not actually cutting it, but what you're doing is changing the distance that the vibration has to travel in. Right now, the strings are coming to the bridge here, and when you pluck them, the vibration occurs during this whole space. But if you hold a string down somewhere, then the vibration stops at your finger and only vibrates in the space between the pegs and your finger that's holding down the fretboard. So that top string, the lowest pitch, could be low pitch open. And if you hold down a string, the pitch goes up. The instrument itself is pretty limited in a range of frequencies that it can play, or limited in pitch. The guitar is sort of a medium-sized string instrument. If the body of it is where the resonance comes from, where the vibrations are occurring inside of. If you have a smaller body, like a ukulele or a violin, then it's going to have higher pitch ranges than the guitar. Or if you had a stand-up bass from the orchestra, more room to vibrate in lower pitches. So we have a range within the instrument based on its design. But really, once you get a way to manipulate amplitude and manipulate frequency, then you can play music. You can have a song with notes in it. So I will torture you and embarrass myself by playing a song. Sorry, I'm not really a guitar player or a singer, and it's been like 10 months until this morning when I first, in my first period, picked up the guitar. So I don't play really often, and I definitely don't sing or perform often. So bear with me. Here's my story, and it's sad but true. It's about a girl that I once knew. She took my love, then she ran around with every single guy in the town. Hey, hey, da da diddy diddy, hey, hey, da da diddy diddy, hey, hey, da da diddy diddy, hey, hey, whoa. Guess I should have known her from the very start. This girl would leave me with a broken heart. Ask any fool that she ever knew to say I keep away from a runaround Sue. Kiss from her lips and a smile from her face. One touch in this girl's warm embrace. Now listen, people, what I'm telling you. I say I keep away from a runaround Sue. She liked to travel around. She liked
love you, then she'll put you down. Now people let put you out. She goes with the other guys, and the moral of the story from the guy who really knows. I've been in love and my love still grows. So if you don't want to cry like I do, I said, I keep away from a runaround Sue. Hey, hey, da da diddy diddy, hey, hey, da da diddy diddy, hey, hey, da da diddy diddy, hey, hey, whoa.
Yeah, so I don't play guitar and don't really sing. I just kind of mess around, but I have a lot of fun with it. And I hope if you get into music, that's your really only goal, unless you're going to be a professional musician. Is just try to have some fun with it. Learn how to change amplitude with your voice or with the instrument. Learn how to change frequencies, and you can play music. If you want to sign off of Teams and get to work on your assignment, I completely understand. I want you to have plenty of time to work on that. But if you would like to hear one more song, I'll play one more song, I guess. So that previous song was Run Around Sue. It's an oldies from the early 1960s, an artist named Dion DiMucci. Not really a genre of music that I listen to, but I learned how to play that song when I was in college and just kind of kept playing it. Next song is also not one that I really listen to often when I'm listening to music, but I kind of like the song, really like the speed of it, and it's fun to play. So this is Looking Out My Back Door by Creedence Clearwater Revival, maybe a song from the 1970s or so.
Just got home from Illinois, like the front door boy. Got to sit down and take a risk on the porch. Imagination sits in, pretty soon I'm singing. Toot, 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 looking out my back door. Giants doing cartwheels, statue wearing high heels. Look at all the happy creatures dancing on and on. Dinosaur Victoria, listening to Buck Owens. Toot, 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 looking out my back door. Oh, tambourines and elephants are playing in the band. Oh, won't you take a ride on them flying spoon? Do-do-do, wondrous apparition, guided by a magician. Toot, 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 looking out my back door. Smile with me tomorrow, today I find no sorrow. Toot, 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 looking out my back door.
Yeah, so hold your pause, no cheering, no encore. That's all I got for you in terms of playing music. But just really quickly want to go back through the directions on the assignment, and then kind of talk about Flex Friday's attendance as well, so that everybody's clear on my expectations of that. So in the asynchronous work, you should click on creating a sound wave, and then read through the directions so that you understand the requirements, and then create a demonstration of a sound, alter its amplitude, alter its frequency, describe how that sound wave was created, identifying the specific source and what was initially vibrating, and then describe how that sound wave traveled between the instrument and your ear. So for Friday, tomorrow, to be counted present in class, you need to have completed this assignment before noon, or come to my office hours in the morning between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Check in with me, and we'll talk about that assignment. It's not if you come to my office hours, you don't have to do the assignment. You still have to complete that. It's just that that's one way to be counted present tomorrow during Flex Friday if you don't have your sound waves assignment done by then. So I'll stay on the call throughout the asynchronous time if you have questions. But at this point, if you'd like to sign off of Teams and get started on your assignment, I'd encourage that. Just hope if I don't talk to you, just hope y'all have a great weekend. Bye.